up, everybody?
What's good? What's good? Welcome to yet another episode of FGF, aka Free Game Fridays. If you don't know by now, I'm Gary the Great, mortgage lender, mortgage professional.
And I am DMD the GOAT, top real estate agent in Seattle. 200 buyers and sellers, $100 million in production.
That's beast mode. That's beast mode.
The one. Oh, tap that timer. You know, we're being organized.
And we're rolling. You know, we like to talk. So we're officially rolling.
Man, we got a good topic for you guys today.
Great topic. So as you guys know, we just introduced ourselves. We are in the real estate industry. Now, there's nuances with every single industry. There's parallels in every single industry, but there's also differences in every single industry. Now, real estate is one of the industries where relationships are key. It is a relationship-driven business from a lot of different angles.
But it's also an interesting industry because if you do really well, those relationships can be thwarted toward money, backstabbing, jealousy.
Literally, it's like Game of Thrones
so
or something.
They can
get real Game of Thrones out here. Now, before we actually announce the topic, do you remember I had asked you when we first met? Like one of the first things I asked you was, I forget exactly what it was, but it was something along the lines of, like, how do you partner with other people? Like, what does it mean when you partner with other people, and how do you create those relationships that last? It was something of that nature. Like, that was the general consensus of the question.
Okay.
But more than anything, I remember your answer to the question. And DMD's answer, he always comes with these answers that just take me away, and I'd be really questioning, like, damn. That's some of the realest I ever heard. But he was saying that he believes in relationships that transcend business. Do you remember telling me that?
Absolutely.
Relationships that transcends business. So the topic that we want to cover today is, can you actually have friends in the industry? Now, we know Drake's on his most recent album, he has a song called literally No Friends in the Industry. My brother's been my brothers, man. You ain't no kin to me. That's a fact. And there's some ways to interpret that, but ultimately he's saying it's family and relationships that transcend business. It comes back to just what you were saying. So again, do you believe you can truly have friends in the industry?
I do. I definitely do. But just like success, people think because they work a few really hard hours or, they're smart or they've achieved something that, they're going to be these dynasty players or that they deserve all of the success, right? And they haven't really, really put in the time, right? They haven't put their 10,000 hours in. So I correlate that to say, can you have friends in the industry? Absolutely. But people get this idea that it's not personal, like confused. It's almost like it integrates to a way where it's like, you say like business is business, and it's like an ideology. It's a thought, right? And that's kind of why I'm having a little bit of challenge, because it's emotional that I feel and I experience. But it's and so I'm trying to put that into words. But it's almost like you have this idea of what it means to be a friend to someone, and then you have this idea of what it means to be a businessman. And people say to be a businessman, you got to be cutthroat, or woman. You have to be cutthroat. You have to have no emotions. It's an emotionless process, right? And then as a friend, it's everything that's opposite of that. I think that's total BS. I think that you can have a fusion of both, and that's going to go into our next question. But I think you can have a fusion of both. But the thing that usually rips all of that down is like preconceived ideas of what it means to be a businessman or woman, preconceived ideas on what it means to be a good friend, a good friend or a bad friend. And then people smash those two things together. There's no real logic. You know what I mean? And then what I've seen is it really just comes down to money, and it's the idea of what can you do for me today?
What's in it for me?
What can you do for me today? If you can't do something for me today, then it's not an even exchange because I feel like I'm this dope. Right,
bro.
I think that's whack.
Personally,
that's whack.
I totally agree.
Especially if you haven't put any hours into perfecting your craft.
Totally agree. I mean, even if you have, I feel like you still have to be able to, like you always say, be able to see and understand the greatness between other people and the potential in people, but not even just the potential, the people who are actually putting in the work as well. I think that's a visionary approach to business as well. When you've been on your grind, you know where you were at a certain stage, and you just knew that sometimes it just takes one person or another person to believe in you, support you, and then you'll be right there with them. Now you're friends and you're doing business together at the same time.
Facts.
I think being able to have a friend and a person you do business with together is the best of both worlds.
I agree.
Like, that's the best of both worlds, because you can literally win, get money together, which
right.
is what we all are aspiring to do in one way or another, and you can also enjoy the other things outside of getting money together, living life together.
Right.
So you can live life together and get money together.
Right.
That's
and be a better person.
And be a better person.
Because if I'm slacking on something, or if I'm not doing something right, you're gonna check
I'm
me.
gonna keep you accountable. That's ain't the way we roll. Right. Like, what's good with that? Like, that ain't even how we do business.
But see, that's a fine blend to me, because it's that serious straight cut, but then friendship. Because oftentimes, people are sensitive. Oh, it's my friend, so they're just yes men. Yeah. I don't want yes men around me.
100%.
So anyway,
100%. And I've learned this one the hard way personally, of doing business with friends, and understanding that it's just all about doing business with the right people as well. Just like we're talking about, right people, and you can do business and be friends at the same time.
Agreed.
So
do you think that the phrase is, it's never personal, right? That's more of like, I usually hear that like in a I always think like if I'm working for a company, it's it's not personal. It's not you. It's just you're numb. Do you think that it's ever personal? When it comes to like building relationships or even fallouts, right? Do you feel like friends can? I mean, you just said you feel like friends can go into business together, but do you feel like it's ever personal?
Yes and no. Here's the thing, man. I feel like personally, I mean, one of the rules in that book right there you got behind you, the 4 agreements, one of those rules literally, or one of the 4 agreements is don't take anything personally. So when you apply that concept to life in general, no. The answer would be no, it's not personal. However, when we're dealing with human emotions, or we're dealing with different circumstances and things are on the line, money's on the line, time is on the line, relationships are on the line, when all that stuff is on the line, it does start to get to this point where it can feel personal. And I think you have to be able to make the conscious distinguish between personal and business, and know when it's worth bringing your personal self to the table and standing up for yourself, or if something doesn't feel right, being able and willing to speak to that or speak out about it, or just realize that, this isn't personal. This is actually just about getting the deal done, or this is about doing the best thing by my client, even if it may have somewhat of a personal effect on me. But I think too, also it always comes back to values and how you go about conducting business, because if you're conducting business in alliance with in accordance with your values, I feel like you never really have to worry about things affecting you negatively from a personal standpoint. The only time I personally feel like stuff starts to feel personal or starts to affect me in a personal way is if I'm doing things that's outside of my moral compass, or anything that's outside of my values. Now I'm starting to be personally affected through business, and that's a line where it gets a little gray for me sometimes.
You gotta start checking people.
Yeah, that's when you gotta be like, I'm not rocking. So that was a
that's
long
hard.
answer, but
no, that's hard. I think that's dope, and I think the biggest learning lesson for me was I had a really, really near and dear friend. Still, consider him to be like a brother to me, and he said that every time we had a situation, it was a matter of we were business partners, we were best friends, and he said every time there was a fallout between him and I, when we started to experience energetic separation and we started to kind of part ways, right? The seas were parting essentially. He said that it was always about the money when it came, when it came to discussions with us. But what I found out is he was trying to block blessings. And he was trying to block energy, that was coming when we were united as one for many years as brothers, right, in a brotherhood. And when he saw his opportunity to strike, he found that reason to part the seas. Exactly. And it all came down to money for him, and that's the part where I feel like people get things confused. They'll put these barriers out there and pretend like these things exist so that they have an easy out.
100%.
And that's fact. And I don't believe that. I believe that, brothers, if you have a good moral compass, I want to win. I want to see you win. Facts. There's nothing else. I want to see all you guys win. Facts. Like, if a blessing comes, I'm not going to block that in any kind of way or try to take it for myself, because there's so many more out there, So I believe that friends can be business partners and family can be business partners. But even when it comes to family, when it comes to friends, even when you're discerning on who you want to keep around you, you can't say family is family. If family's not acting right,
gotta get to the money. You know what I'm saying? So, truth be told, When you can have friends and do business together, that is one of the most powerful concepts in the world. Like that's one of the most powerful things in the world. I mean, it comes back to even what Drake was saying. Like, no friends in the industry. My brother's been my brothers.
Right.
You guys aren't no kin to me. All these other guys, you guys are actually my competitors.
Right.
I might keep it cordial, but at the end of the day, I need to make sure that me and mine eats.
Right.
And you don't have to question that when it's real family and friends.
Right.
When it's real family and friends, and you found that unit, things will take off. And then over time as well, and don't forget this, over time, you will outgrow certain people who you thought were going to be there with you, and you will pick up new people along the way as long as you keep, like you said, as long as you keep putting your light out there and bringing in that energy to the table, it will attract the right people in your life to accomplish your vision and your goals at the end of the day. This relationship right here is a prime example of that. Yeah, and you guys will see too in the next coming years of what's really about to go down. We're just getting started. Time will tell.
And then to close it, what I would say is you don't need to spite anybody else. Rotten fruit will always fall from the tree.
Bars. We're gonna end it just like that. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Free Game Fridays. Again, this is the best place on the internet for you to get free game about life and real estate. We'll see you guys next Friday.
All right, you guys.
Peace out.